Breaking news now. Russian officials want to join the United Nations Human Rights Council. Russia's decision to reapply for membership in the prestigious UN Human Rights Council, UNHRC, after being shunned for its invasion of neighboring Ukraine in February 2022 poses the fundamental challenge of whether it will, this time, observe fundamental human rights stipulated by the United Nations Charter. If Russia is reinstated to the UN Human Rights Council, Western-aligned members will be able to monitor its behavior to ensure it respects human rights when negotiating with other countries. Russia has denied allegations of human rights abuses during the post-Soviet era. These allegations have focused on the country's domestic politics, the suppression of opposition groups, and the monitoring of media and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, that have been critical of the government. Critics have long claimed that Russia's treatment of Ukraine has irreparably damaged its credibility to continue its membership in the Geneva-based United Nations Human Rights Council, which is dominated by Western voices and often shows overbearing attitudes toward Russia over its alleged abuses of basic human rights. In an uncertain move that will undoubtedly give a gauge of its international support, on October 10 Russia will attempt a passionate return to the prestigious UN Human Rights Council after being expelled for its forces' invasion of Ukraine. 15 new members of the United Nations will be elected that day to serve in Geneva from 2024 to 2026. According to Russia's UN ambassador, Vasily Nebenzia, the Human Rights Council must be protected from misuse as a tool for settling political scores and from the practice of double standards. This statement was made at the UN headquarters in New York. Some countries, despite calling themselves human rights defenders, resort to such measures. Russia's disagreements with the United States and Europe have grown so severe that it has been forced to withdraw from a number of international organizations. The Russian government claims that some of these organizations have become a puppet structure for promoting flagrant Russophobic attitudes, and that Russia does not agree with this Western worldview or accept its values and methods. We will submit such an application. Russia's permanent representative to the United Nations in Geneva, Gennady Gatilov, told the Russian television network Rossiya 24, VGTRK, that while his country is not a member of the Human Rights Council at the moment, it is still actively working within the Council by promoting Russian initiatives. We can expand our options by participating fully in this organization. Some experts say Russia is still at a turning point in history. While theoretically leading a multipolar arrangement, its integrated, interactive society is far from reality. The presence of many Western corporations in the Russian Federation has been temporarily halted. Russian economists, on the other hand, claim that the country's economy is growing stronger than it was before the United States, the European Union, the United Kingdom, and others imposed severe sanctions on Russian organizations and individuals. After being kicked off the UN Human Rights Council for invading Ukraine, Russia is now trying to get back in. This shows that the HRC is an instrument that must be recognized, and that it plays an acceptable role in ensuring that the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and other international treaties in the field of promoting and protecting human rights are adhered to. The author has read multiple government documents in which Russia expresses extreme dissatisfaction with its position on the UN Human Rights Council, HRC. Gatilov said, "We will use all opportunities that are still available to us," adding that he was deeply concerned about the unprecedented scale and depth of discrimination that had been unleashed against Russia. However, returning would mean celebrating human rights abuses, silencing opposition groups, and locking up their leaders in an increasingly enlightened, multipolar world. Russia claims to observe human rights, but since the Soviet Union's collapse in 1991 and throughout its political developments, opposition political groups have reportedly been denied the freedom to participate in modern politics and government. Human rights and democratic freedom are also priorities, and the country has signed several joint declarations to that effect. The question of pushing the world into adopting a multipolar order, which implies concept of inclusiveness and respect for broader views and approaches toward peace and security, sustainable development and new economic architecture, and broader consensus over use of resources, is of particular importance to Russia as a staunch founding member of BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, to which 6 new members will be added in January 2024. Since its inception, BRICS has accomplished a great deal, and in August 2023, in Johannesburg, it added 6 new members. In fact, the use of joint declarations at each summit was its most distinctive feature. We reaffirm our commitment to the BRICS spirit of mutual respect and understanding, sovereign equality, solidarity, democracy, openness, inclusiveness, strengthened collaboration, and consensus, the declaration says, among other things, following the 15 BRICS summit in Johannesburg, where it had the opportunity to convene this influential group for the second time. We, the BRICS heads of state and government, reaffirm our commitment to building on the past 15 years of BRICS summits and to enhancing our strategic partnership for the benefit of our people through the promotion of peace, a more representative and equitable international order, a revitalized and reformed multilateral system, and sustainable development. The declaration continues, we reiterate our commitment to inclusive multilateralism and upholding international law, including the purposes and principles enshrined in the Charter of the United Nations, UN, as its indispensable cornerstone, and the central role of the UN in an international system in which sovereign states cooperate to maintain peace and security, advance sustainable development, ensure the promotion and protection of democracy, human rights, and the rule of law, and the central role of the UN in an international system in which sovereign states cooperate to maintain peace and security. As required by the Russian Constitution, both President Vladimir Putin and Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov have made frequent references to human rights in public speeches. Putin spoke at the plenary session of the Valdai International Discussion Club's 20th anniversary meeting in October 2023. Sochi, a city on Russia's southern coast, hosted the 20th annual meeting, with the theme Fair Multipolarity, How to Ensure Security and Development for Everyone, which has and continues to have significant significance. In a nutshell, the discussions at Valdai always mirror the most consequential and intricate global political processes of the 21st century. Putin mentioned this in his talk. Throughout the presentations, he emphasized a number of points, including the fact that Russia and the world have undergone enormous changes. But what's important to note is that Russia is portrayed as a pioneering civilization state in the Russian foreign policy concept. Putin claims that the current wording accurately reflects both the development context and the fundamental principles of international order. To begin, there are numerous civilizations, and no one civilization is better or worse than any other. They're on an even playing field because each civilization is an individual expression of its people's history, values, and hopes. Diversity is one of the defining features of a civilized nation. States are becoming more self-aware of their identity and the extent to which they are interconnected with the rest of the world in this age of radical change. Putin has said that in this regard, Russia has the largest possible voice. Russia has been and will continue to be a cornerstone of this new international order, one that welcomes cooperative efforts with all those who seek to promote global stability and prosperity while standing firm in opposition to those who promote authoritarianism and tyranny. At the 78th session of the United Nations General Assembly on September 23, 2023 in New York City, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov emphasized the irreversible changing processes towards a multipolar order, arguing that the logic of historical progress is undeniable and that the main trend is that states constituting the global majority are strengthening their sovereignty and defending their national interests, traditions, culture, and different ways of life. Lavrov, however, stressed the important role Russia is playing in these evolving processes, particularly in groups like the SCO, ASEAN, CSTO, EAEU, CIS, and many others. Russia has reaffirmed its highest commitment and stated its willingness to work with any group or nation that has interests that align with its own.